Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Devs, back with another Kaimhime project video. Now, this video I guess you could call it a sneak peek, but some of this stuff is also things that we had before. So, I'm going to go over some of the stuff that changed on the Japanese side recently, because there's some things that they've done where it may or may not change your setups later on down the line. Also, I did already do a video on what the weapon skills do and all that. I'm going to assume you know that. If you don't, that video is also in the pinned comment as per usual. So go check that out, especially since it will help you with building your grids either way. Because there's some stuff that generally wouldn't even change. But this is pretty much going to go over all the different changes and whatnot. But I will go over some stuff that should be known as well, but it's more of a quick glance over. But anyway, starting off, this is kind of the reason why I don't go by the plus indicators on the weapon skills, because you'll see some that have 1 plus or 2 or 3. Not all of them was perfect for a while. I don't know if they finally got around to fixing that, because some small had no plus and then some small had 1. But this is generally your the descriptions of each one. Like, it will say assault, which is your basic attack increase, but then it will say something like inferno or storm or cactus. That's based on the element and the size. So going into a better example, if you want large between fire or water, it would be inferno for fire, cactus for water. But say you want medium, then it would be blizzard for water and burning for fire. That's what all these names are pretty much doing. We even got some that will go for oversize as well, because the Seraph Union events, they go into oversize when you final break them, so there's that too. And also the Guardian Souls will mention these names on their descriptions, because the Guardian Idolins, they increase all of the skill effects towards a certain element. So for Phaleg, it will say prominence, inferno, burning, and fire. Basically, she'll increase the effects of all of those. And then there's some here that most people probably wouldn't know about, which is called Prism and Rainbow. Prism only comes from an event weapon that we got a while back. I don't know if it's going to repeat, but it was the Fruit of Grisaia crossover. Or I should just say the Grisaia series in general, because they have multiple installments. And this is just a sad note. Grisaia series is very good. I recommend actually checking it out. They even have an anime. But they had an SR weapon, which was a water gun. I pretty much called them the shark guns. They give a small defender and a small assault to any character when equipped. Doesn't matter the element. That's what Prism is. Rainbow, if you've done the panel missions, you should have some SR swords, and they will give you medium assault to any character no matter what. That's what Prism and Rainbow basically is. My suggestion, if you have any of these weapons, keep them as separate as possible. Do not try to limit break them into each other, because one, you'll probably never get any of these ever again, and two, I have done calculations. You get a lot more keeping them separate than merging them into one, considering that these are weapons that you will never have another chance at ever. So that said, it is best to keep them separate. And it will give you a nice little starter if you're starting to build up your teams and whatnot, because I've calculated it will give you 96% assault. Well, no, 92% assault. I got it off by 4%, sorry. But it is 92% assault and 40% defender to your entire team. And if you have SSR Diablos, or even just normal Diablos, that's still going to give you a nice little boost on top of it. Even better if you get Vlad down the line too, because she's going to be free and going to be in an epic quest. You'll probably never see these all effect weapons ever again, because they're so incredibly rare. They're actually pretty good. But moving on. This is a list of all these different types of skills. Now, some of them you may not recognize out the gate. But on the left side is all the single effect ones, and on the right side is all the double effect or special type ones. The left side, you should recognize most of these except for maybe 2 of them. Technical is one that will increase the normal attack performance and increase the soft cap to it, so keep that in mind. And then Rebellion is a new one they just recently introduced. It is like the opposite of Vigor, so the lower your HP gets, the more it will boost at another multiplier. At least from what I heard. So that's what Rebellion's going to end up doing. But as far as it goes with the right side, there's all these different special and combined effects. The first 2, it says Happiness and Energy. I don't know if they're renamed it or not. But those are from Soul Weapons. It's pretty much the attribute boost, or the defender, basically. And they go by maximum values. They also got another one for defender that says maximum, and then there's another one for assault that says carnage. Enhance is going to pretty much increase base stats. There's a lot of these that have mixed effects, like say assault plus barrage or defender plus rush. Those aren't necessarily names you should try to remember, but you still should keep an eye out for, because of the fact that some of these are very, very good effects. I know ones that are usually pretty good are Strength and Strength, Transcend. Stalwart's pretty good too, depending on what the size is. There was one that was Assault plus Pride that was pretty good too. I forgot the name of it. There's going to be some new ones eventually down the line too, which will pretty much mix Assault plus Vigor or Assault plus... Yeah, that's the Assault plus Pride. But yeah, there was one that was also Pride plus Stalwart. There was a weapon that had that, a wind weapon from the Guardian. That was a good one too. These mix effects are practically the reason why some of the players, myself included, are doing such insane damage, have some very strong grids. Those dual effects are going to be highly prioritized. Unfortunately, we haven't ever seen a weapon that gave dual effect on both skills. Or that would be incredibly powerful. In fact, imagine a weapon if they somehow did it where it mixed Assault plus Pride, and then it gave you something like Vigor plus Exceed. Like, that would be insane. All that in one weapon, that would be insane. But we haven't seen any of those yet, but these dual skill weapons are very strong. There's others that have some special effects too. Like, there's an arranged weapon that you get from Labyrinth events. Don't worry about those. They suck. I can honestly say that out the gate, they are not worth it, anything with a range, because they haven't given anything that's truly, like, noteworthy. There's some Lucent Weapon effects that's further down the list as well. There's some stuff that come from the Dragonic Eyes too. Eventually they will have these things called Super Dragonic Eyes, and you need 50 normal Dragonic Eyes to get them, but the Super Eyes always go to the weapon. They always go to those special weapons. And they have some effects that will spike the increase of Pride or Vigor. So those are actually worth keeping an eye out for. However, considering that you need 50 eyes to get a copy, my suggestion to everybody that can do it, you save up eyes to get 1 copy and then just get bricks from then on out, because you can use those SSR break limit bricks, those purple brick looking things. You can use those in order to increase the weapon as well, and quite frankly, I would rather spend 20 eyes to get one of those bricks than spend another 50 to get another copy of the weapon. Or you can do Tower of Malice and get a good enough score on that. But enough about these. There's a long list. I'm not trying to sit all day on each of those. Going through, and this is generally a good page to look at too. I'm also going to link this in the comments as well. But this generally breaks down percentages of the increases for each of these weapons and whatnot, and the weapon effects. Very good page to look at when you're trying to add up your stuff. This is how I calculated that my grid, my own personal weapon grid, has at least 170 base assault. And I say base because Haggith is going to multiply it even further. And then I know for a fact I have a little bit over 90% defender. So there's that. And then considering my base stats too, that's an incredible amount. Like, for a quick little example, my base HP for my characters on my light team is generally around 11,000. And then defender is almost doubling that. And then Haggith is multiplying my defender, which in turn increases my base HP even further. So, yeah, in fights, that's why I'm having like 28,000 HP or so. Now, Pride has been, it says it's changed after the speculation, but honestly, they ultimately kept Pride the same. That's what this little note box is basically about right here. They pretty much kept Pride the same overall. But, Pride pretty much still adds to the assault frame for the damage multiplier, because there's different damage multipliers in the game, and knowing what they do can really spike your damage. That's why I do quite a bit, because I'm using assault, elemental, and vigor at all times. Sometimes I'll even get special attack in there, but it still depends on my setup. And then Stinger also counts as another multiplier too, but it's not really recommended to go after it. It's just something you'd rather just get buffs for. But Pride, nothing's really changed on that. Rush, the general effect of it hasn't changed. Same for Barrage, but both of them apparently to these boxes have gotten an increase to where they are twice as strong now. Meaning that if it had like a 2% increase, it now has a 3%. If it had a 3% increase, it now has a 4%. I mean, if it had a 3% increase, it now has a 6%. Something like that. But, yeah, generally they gotten a lot stronger. But are they worth it? Personally, I still don't say they are. Although you can increase Rush to quite a lot. It's saying that the supposed upper limit of Rush is 25%. Because last time I checked this out, they didn't really have a confirmed factor for it. Barrage, they're still saying it pretty much gets you limited by 5%. That said, if you do get Barrage, a large Barrage weapon that can go to skill level 30, you probably don't need another one if that is true. But upper limit pretty much means that that's the literal cap for this. So it's saying that Rush caps at 25% and Barrage caps at 5%, but quite frankly, going by buffs and accessory effects, you don't really need this on weapons. It's welcome if it's there, but you don't really need it. Stinger, same case as Rush and Barrage. It's welcome if it's there, but you don't really need it. It does increase to another multiplier, but here's the factor about it. One, it is random. There is a random chance for each Stinger weapon to go off. One can go off, multiple can go off. And the more of them that goes off at once, the more the multiplier increases, basically. Like, say you get a 20% damage increase and there's like 3 weapons that go off, then that's 60% added to that multiplier. But if only one of them goes off, it's 20%. Now, here's the other problem with it. It only works when you have elemental advantage. So, say, take my light team for instance, it will only work off of dark enemies and phantom enemies. And it will say Sting instead of Weak Point. We now have that update, so that's why sometimes your numbers pop up as Sting. So we have that update. That's why that happens. It's something I just had to explain. But Stinger in general, if you get buffs for it, maybe. But unless you're doing elemental advantage, it's useless. And even if you have elemental advantage, it may not go off. So it's something that's you don't really hunt weapons for. Exceed, on the other hand, no changes basically. But keep this one thing in mind: that Exceed is split between two things: a damage increase and a limit increase. The limit increase caps at 100%, the damage increase caps at 500%, and buffs are included in this, so keep that in mind. So that's why I can get the cap anyways, because I get, through Hagif, an increase on my limit, which was already 60%, and then Michael, who I use in most of my teams, also adds to that limit increase as well. So it's just going to put it past 100%, and there you go. I get a soft cap at 2 million finally, because that's what the limit increase is. It's not a hard cap, but yeah, it's an increase to the soft cap basically. It's normally 1 million, and you can push it up to 2 million soft cap. Some characters do indeed have workarounds for that as well, like Awakened Metatron. I know she's one of them. There's a few others, I forgot who, but they can indeed go past that soft cap with some special increases from their assist abilities, so that's something to know. Also, later down the line, this is a change that does happen. There is something called Burst Streak, which is based off of the damage you do from all the other Kaimhime. They will put a hard limit later on, and it will be 7 million, I do believe. I don't know if it's a hard limit or a soft limit, but it will limit you to about 7 million damage for your Burst Streak. When that happens, Burst Streak at Dolans are practically useless. So keep that in mind. But for now, we can actually get some use out of the Burst Streak at Dolans, because if you say you're supposedly hitting all the soft caps in the game for pretty much burst damage, ability damage, and all that, Burst Streak is pretty much your only way of getting some significant damage increase. Otherwise, you're just going to be trying to push harder towards the caps. So there's that. Ascension hasn't changed, but I still have to refresh people on this one. Ascension has two effects. One is increase the recovery limit, and one is increase the amount. What people most know about is a recovery limit, because say you have a heal that caps at 1000 HP, Ascension can effectively push it up to 3000 because it has got a 200% increase limit. So that's what that does. The recovery amount increase is something most people don't know about, because each healing in the game has a set percentage, more or less. And that's what Ascension recovery amount does. It will increase that percentage. If your HP is very low, you may not hit the cap. But for it to be very low, you have to have, like, say, 1000 or 2000 HP or something like that. Like, probably newer players will most likely hit that. Skills that do not have a healing cap will also get affected by this as well. So that's something to know. She was limited, but one light R rarity Kaimhime I like mentioning is called Nodens, because she gives a flat 50% heal recovery to everybody, regardless of what your HP is, because there's no cap. The recovery amount's going to increase it even further. So there's that. Vigor, they don't necessarily change how it works, at least when it comes to the percentage increases, but supposedly to the speculation thing, it gets moved to elemental attack. I don't know that for sure, but there's that. And while it does have an upper limit of 100%, including buffs, or even that Dolan effects, because some of my Dolans do it too, you can indeed still overcap this to how it works differently, because it, like Pride, it's based on how much HP you have, and you could supposedly overcap Vigorous to where you get a vigor increase, you get the maximum vigor increase of 100% even if your HP is dropped. So if you overcap it enough, you can still have like 80% HP remaining and still get a full 100% increase. That's something I didn't know about. So apparently that's a thing. I wouldn't really recommend it, but considering that there's probably a lot of people getting the guns from the Full Guardian, which is the Thunder one, that may be a possibility. So that's something to keep in mind. But elaborate. elaborate is something that people generally don't really look for, but now it's supposedly got some caps. Now, they say that this is looking confusing with how some of this is, but it's saying that the there is 150% max increase. Looking at this, so given what this is saying, it's saying we might have a 50% damage limit increase from weapons and a 100% damage limit increase from abilities. Given how this is, it seems a little complicated. Now, what that means is you will make your abilities do 2.5 times the damage max, no matter what. It's saying that you get abilities and weapons calculated separately, which is weird, but okay. But, the general thing about it is the fact that it did not give that much increase from weapons before. It used to be a pitiful, like, 5% just for a large. But now it's based on skill level, and it's increased a lot more. And I mean a lot more. A large at skill level 30 is now supposedly giving you a damage limit increase of 25%. So just 2 elaborate weapons would probably just cap it right there. But the amount increase for the damage, like the damage increase, not the damage limit, that hasn't changed. So it's still practically 30% when you get skill level 20, no matter the weapon. And when you get skill level 30, it's 40%. That's generally what they said it has, but the cap increase has been significantly boosted, so it may be worth it, but I'm not sure. If you have a Medea, you probably do want this. So honestly, I do have a little bit of a regret getting rid of non-D weapons, but I'm probably not going to have any way of putting them in there in my weapon grid at this point, so there's that. But for those of you that can pull off a light hammer grid and have a non-D weapon or whatever, and are waiting for her reprint or whatnot at the time of this video, you might get a very good elaborate spike later down the line, so keep that factored in. But the way the damage increase works is it is a direct increase to the multiplier. So say you have one elaborate weapon that's skill level 20, it doesn't matter what size it is, then you're adding 0.3 to the ability multiplier. So say it's Medea's 10x multiplier, now it's 10.3. So there's that. Because ability's first skill has a 10 times multiplier. So that's what that does. The upper limit, it's increasing the soft cap. So say an ability has a soft cap of 1 million. I don't necessarily know any abilities that had that, but we're just using it for an example. But say it has a soft cap increase of 1 million. Well, 20% elaborate increase will make it 1.2 million. That's how that works. That's what's changed with elaborate. It seems like it's on the board, but still not necessarily. But quite frankly, if you're already maxing out burst damage, you're probably going to want to max out ability damage. Just cause. More damage is always welcome. Speaking of which, technical doesn't seem to have any changes as far as I know. And by the looks of things, they don't even have a large weapon, but I'm guessing it'll be 10%. But it's for normal attacks, and it says it's increased to the rampaging slot too. But rampaging only forces you to do more ability damage. I mean, normal attack damage, period, point blank. It doesn't increase the cap. This increases the damage and the cap regardless. And some characters do have buffs for this. I do remember Nuwa having it, and I think Awakened Thanatos has it now too. Supposedly the max for this is like 300%, but it's not fully confirmed. If that's the case, then saying that you can indeed hit that, which is going to be insanely hard to do, you would make your normal attacks do roughly about 1.4 million per hit before the soft cap kicks in and it starts tapering off the damage. That would be insane if you could pull it off, but again, it's something that you probably won't be able to do. So technical is welcome, but it's another case of not needed. And we just now started getting technical weapons, so water definitely should have one if you manage to get those. But I'm not so sure about the other elements, and it's rare that that gets handed out because everybody does normal attacks all the time, so that's probably why. Rebellion is that reverse vigor I mentioned, so there's that. A range, not worth. The super rare weapons, they get that special effect where it's an increase for pride or vigor, so keep that in mind. It says plus 50% effect amount, so if that's the case, that means your pride or vigor is multiplied by 1.5 by having one of these weapons. And honestly, the super rare weapons are very strong anyways, because they will increase assault plus pride or assault plus vigor, and then if it has pride with it, then it will increase the pride effect. If it has vigor, it will increase the vigor effect. They all generally have that. My suggestion is to get at least one of them later on down the line. You might want multiple because their base stats are incredible. And I don't know if the effect amounts will start stacking with each other, but they're strong. They're strong. Get at least one of them. Save up 50 eyes and get at least one of them. They have an enhancement stuff here too. These are soul weapon boosts as well. I have indeed confirmed it myself. When you can get the 4th tier souls and get their weapons, the S rank ones, then skill level 30 is accessible, and it follows the same general formula, but it will pretty much be 40% when you get to skill level 30. So there's that. But calamity weapons, they're pretty much the catastrophe fights. They're the phantom weapons from those. I've been asked a few times, you cannot have more than one of these on the same grid. It will not work. Because with how they are, you need at least 6 weapons of the same type in order to get the second effect, which is where it will increase assault, defender, exceed, or any of that stuff. The first effect will multiply the base stats. And getting 2 of the same one will not work. It will not work. It's only allowing you to have 1. And you can't get two different types because you need 6. Well, you could to spike the base stats, but it's not really worth. Because the main reason you even get weapons anyway is for their weapon skills, and the base stats take a... It's not a backseat, but they are second in importance. Well, you're probably going to want one of these regardless of your grid anyways. However, calculate how much weapon skills you get, because that's the reason why I'm not using one for my light team. I can indeed make the glaive grid for them. However, it will dramatically reduce my weapon skills, reducing my HP, my damage output, and a number of other things, even though the base stats will get spiked. So, that said, it is not worth it for me. That's why I say calculate your stuff. However, when I do get some better weapons, I probably can indeed use it. Or at least be able to final break another Vishnu wheel. The Lucent Weapons. There's a bit more info on these. That's the main reason why I wanted to do this video. Apparently there is 2 effects. There's a normal field and then there's the EX field. The normal field is pretty much upping the HP and attack power to the characters that like the weapon type. That's basically what it's saying on this. So it's pretty much large strength or something like that. I'm guessing it will change to extra large when you final break it. So there's that. But it does say stage 4, so it might work differently than the other ones. I don't know. But the EX one is what you can change. It is a weapon skill you can change at will. And here's all the different effects, but not the amounts, basically. But it is said that the continuous attack, which is a combo rate, is a 20% increase. So maybe it's like 15% double and 5% triple. I don't know. But it says increases the resistance of the characters that like the weapon type. Increases the combo rate of the characters that like the weapon type. If their HP is 50% or less, the damage of their elemental attribute, I'm guessing it's saying, is increased. If it is 90% or more, the damage is increased. There's ones that increase the it says a beneficial attack for normal attacks. There's ability damage spike and a burst damage spike. So what this is you can freely switch between all of these different states. And you do need to have all of its stars in order to get this off. But you can switch between defense, you can switch between combo rate, and all that type of stuff. I don't know if once you select it, it has to be remade in order to do all that. I assume it isn't, but I could be wrong. Because it would be kind of stupid considering the fact that the Lucent Weapons, when you get one, it cannot be sold, it cannot be used as enhancement materials or any of that. So when you get a Lucent Weapon, it is in your inventory for good. So if you don't want your inventory to clog up, do not get more than one type of each type. So keep that in mind. But generally, if you could fit it in there, it seems like it would be very good. But if you can't fit it in there, that's also understandable because it is based on favorite types, and the favorite types are skewed. They're heavily skewed. A few off the top of my head I can remember would be Fire Glaive, Water Spear, maybe Thunder Hammer, and Light Staff. Those are the ones that tend to really have some good spreads of Kaimhime that are of the same element and like the same type of weapon. However, it is so limited on some of this stuff. I remember one having only like 3 Kaimhime that liked it among all rarities. Because you even have to factor in the SR and the R rarity as well. Not all of them can have a team of SSR that like it too. So, yeah, it can really skew your different stuff and all that. But if you can indeed pull it off where it's like, say something like a team of 4 SSR and they like the same element and the same weapon type, this can dramatically spike their output. Combined with the previous Phantom weapons, yeah, that's a huge spike. That's an incredibly huge spike. So, that said, if you can factor in Lucent Weapons later down the line, so be it. But this is something from Battlefield. It is content we do not have yet, so there's that. Also, strengthening the weapons have not changed. Period, point blank. Strengthening the weapons have not changed. There's recommendations for each of them. Which is right here, in fact. Like, it's recommended to feed R weapons into each other as is. R Grails and SR weapons need to be level 4. Like, skill level 4 if you want to optimize their skill EXP. If you want to optimize the skill XP for SR Grails or SSR weapons as fodder, then they have to be skill level 5. The SSR Grails, if you ever happen to get them, they never increase, no matter how much skill level they have. So just feed them as is as well, just like an R weapon. So that said, there you go for all of this. Honestly, I don't know if you can save R weapons by feeding them into each other to really save your inventory. I don't know how much it will take for that one. It might still be level 3, like it was before. But, quite frankly, if you have to feed more than one R weapon into another R weapon in order to increase the skill level, then, it's not worth. That's all I can give you for that one. That's all I can say because that's just common sense. But generally, I feed my R weapons as is anyways, because my inventory never gets clogged enough for that. And if I know it's getting full, then that's when I pretty much burn through a lot of weapons. But that's for the fodder. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Like I said, I really break down this in another video, which is much longer, by the way. But this does cover some other stuff too. And then we don't even have some percentages for some stuff like Rebellion. And a range is just not even based on percentages, and it sucks. Because only one character gets it for 1. And then 2 half the effects really don't last long or do too much. So yeah, it's like maybe for a few turns at the start of the fight. But closing this out, my suggestion to people who really want to try and get a very strong grid, Assault and Pride are top priority. Because they both increase your character attack, as I should say. Because that's what a character attack add-ons also do. But your Idolin should stick to elemental attack more or less. If you don't have an elemental attack Idolin, then like one that gives like 100% or so, then go for a Guardian, because they will eventually be the best things you can get, better than even the event ones. But definitely go for a Guardian Idolin. Even if you have 100% elemental attack or something like that, still get a Guardian Idolin. They're that good. Even as a sub slot, they're that good. However, the Phantom one, if you can get break limits on her, fine. But don't use the SSR break limit item for her. And her specific treasure, which we also can call globes, her specific one is a very low drop rate. That's why she generally sucks. Her main effect is horrible. Her sub effect would be pretty good if you could actually break limit her. Because I've never seen her globe outside the guaranteed one. You get a guaranteed one for starting and finishing her raid, but that's pretty much it. But the drop rate for her weapon is, the drop rate for her treasure is low, very low, almost as low as getting the new Rainbow book, the one that looks like it's a closed book that only the S rank souls use. It's about as low as that. So good luck. But yeah, Assault, Pride, top priority. High priority effects will be Defender, Exceed, and Ascension, because the healing is definitely coming in handy, especially in some harder fights. Believe me when I say that. If you can get it in there, Vigor is also high priority as well, because it is another multiplier, but you need to keep your HP high, and if you have Vigor, definitely get Ascension, because you want to keep your HP as high as possible. Stuff that I would say is also decent if you can get them is Elaborate and Elaborate, Barrage, and Stinger, but again, they're not necessary. Buffs do a hell of a lot more right now, and then later on, Elaborate definitely will pop up on the radar, but it's still not necessary, because like I said, this buff to Elaborate is definitely welcome. Definitely welcome. They still make abilities still have more weight, but the weapons will actually be serviceable then, because it's not just the damage increase that gives a massive spike, it will be the cap increase for them too. Also, if you can work it in their technical weapons, but they're rare, good luck getting them. They're not going to get too much of an upper limit increase, but having your normal attack get more of a damage spike anyway. There's that. Also, the soft caps have been a little bit manipulated too. I don't fully know everything about it. The Elaborate soft cap for one seems to be kind of complicated, because then it's like, okay, when you hit the soft cap, the excess damage no longer is reduced to 10% of its normal value, it's reduced to 4%, and then it'll go to 1% after it hits an even further ratio. So it's like an exponential drop in damage when you start going past the soft caps. That's what those pretty much mean. But that's why you increase the soft cap as much as possible, if you can. Exceed, everybody's using bursts. That's why it's high priority. Elaborate, not everybody relies on ability damage, but if you can fit it in there, maybe. If you can fit it in there. You only have 10 slots to work with, so keep that in mind. But, Phantom Weapon is another high priority if you can actually fit it in there, because, again, they're giving some huge spikes, especially in base stats. That's how some people are getting like 40,000 base attack power on their weapons alone. But, again, you may end up, if you're compromising your weapon skills in order to get a Phantom Weapon in there, do not do it. Do not. It is reducing your potential. So, there's that. But anyways, that's enough of this. More of this is going to come soon, because I still have Tower of Malice to upload to, because we have that going on right now. But anyways, that's all for this. Also, look forward to another solo raid video that I've done, because this should be uploaded before that is. So keep that in mind. But anyways, that's all for now, guys. More of this will come soon, and take care.